So I'm here today with Cassandra Henson, one of my top realtors in our office, and I wanted to spotlight Cassandra for a lot of reasons today. One is Cassandra does things a little different or a lot different than many other agents, and so I wanted to talk through today. Cassandra, welcome.
Thank you.
And first of all, let's talk about where you started and when you got your real estate career started and how you got started, and let's dive in.
Okay, great. Well, I got started in real estate about 9 years ago, and it was definitely a journey for me. I had been in a full-time career that was very demanding. I was an operations and human resources manager for a large company here locally, and I just decided that I needed some sort of a shift. I needed to make a change in my career path, and so real estate wasn't necessarily the first thing that came up. I wasn't necessarily seeking that, but I identified kind of what my strengths were, my weaknesses, what I enjoyed doing, what I didn't enjoy doing, and through a process of elimination, and after interviewing many professionals from all different industries, decided that real estate just might be the right fit. And I come from a family of architect, mortgage lenders, and designers, and so forth. So it wasn't that unnatural for me to end up in the housing industry, but it just kind of fell into place. And then I made a commitment to get my license.
So you worked in retail for how long?
25 years.
Wow. So that was a huge, I mean, not even kind of the same industry. Like, you made a shift from a major retailer to completely shedding that to learning something brand new. And we're not so young anymore. You're younger than I am, but we're not so young anymore. So you took it upon yourself to pick a new career, get a license, and kind of start from scratch, if you will, right?
Right. Well, definitely. The day in, day out activities are completely different. But a lot of the fundamental concepts are very similar because we're in an intensive customer service industry in our business, and that's where I came from. So my whole focus from my past was customer service and making sure that the customer was treated well, was respected, and their needs were met. And that's exactly the same philosophy I have in real estate, because my customer comes first. And it's, selling a home is not just a one-person job. It's a collaborative effort between your client, me, my brokerage, all my partners who I work with, who help me promote the listing and help get it through the challenges that we face. But that customer service and the marketing and the attention to detail, and then my operations background helped me a lot, I think, with the systems and organization and discipline.
Because it does take a lot of discipline, because you don't have a boss. I'm not calling you every day saying, Cassandra, get out of bed, these are the things you need to do. And so you literally, you use what you've learned in your other business. And yes, your customer service is amazing. It's top notch. Repeatedly when people are hitting their reviews, commenting about you, they feel they were made to feel important, that their needs were addressed, and that they mattered. And so that, of course, carries over from one industry to the other, no matter what. But then let's talk about you get started. You are still working at your other position. You are now licensed and learning your way, right? So you've got to, there's no box of here's your success, route to success. It's different for everybody. But talk about that. Talk about when you first got licensed, and then you were carrying on the two jobs, and then you decided at one point to leave your other career and jump full time into real estate. And your successes since then.
Yeah. So it wasn't easy. It was a lot of work. I had a semi-set schedule in my other career, but it included weekends and nights and things like that. So I had pockets of time available when I wasn't at my other job. And so I scheduled my real estate activities during those periods. So, I worked all day, every day. So there wasn't a lot of extra time available, but that's okay. I had a goal. I had an objective I wanted to achieve. I wanted to be able to leave my full-time career and do real estate full-time. So I had an end in sight. I set that goal up in front of me, and I just kept working towards it. So, I started actually fairly quickly. I mean, my first lead I got at the busiest time of year for my other business, which was really exciting. It was Christmas time. Yeah. But with Kellee's support, we collaborated together and we partnered together and we made it happen. And so I think if you have a goal and you have something very specific you want to achieve, if you write that down and you repeat it every day, and it was up on my bathroom mirror, the whole thing, what I wanted to achieve and what I wanted to do. And it took me 3 years. It wasn't an overnight thing, but I had to establish myself, and I had to feel that confidence and that security, and I had to set myself up so that I had the nest egg that I needed and everything else. I didn't want to, I have a family. I have people who are counting on me. I didn't want to just up and leave and.
Right. Well, you're learning. It was a brand new, everything brand new. I mean, you could apply your customer service skills and your discipline and everything to real estate, but at the end of the day, you had to learn what it took to be successful in real estate, which was putting the time in, learning your contract, learning the marketing, what marketing works for you, what marketing works for clients, and then building your client base. Right. So from zero goose egg to building up your client base and building your own brand. Yeah. And people love you. I mean, like I said, the reviews just speak volumes. But so let's fast forward to today. Now it's been how many years?
It's been 9 years.
9 years. Yeah. And Cassandra is an extraordinary agent, and I mean, you just consistently. I know, all of us have pockets of time. I've been in real estate now 28 years, and we all have pockets where you're closing many in 1 month, and then you go a couple months and maybe you don't close anything, which it happens to everyone. Yeah. Nobody year over year is doing 150 transactions. It just doesn't happen. So your consistency in your marketing has held true. I mean, you repeatedly repeat the things that work. You don't repeat the things that don't, and you have built a good business for yourself. And you have repeat clients, you have referrals. But let's talk about today, what differentiates you. What is that to you? Because you do things other agents don't do. And I want everyone to know that it's not a matter of, you get a listing, let's say, you put a sign in the yard, you put it in the MLS, you get pictures done by whomever, and that's, we wait and hope, we pray that it sells. So much more than that right now. Right. I mean, let's start with pictures. Right. The professional photos and videos. I mean, the cost is it's expensive to have it done the right way. Right. Make sure we focus on the client's needs, the client's house, making sure it shows in the best condition. But let's talk about that.
So let me back up a little bit, because this didn't all just come from my head and I figured it out. I mean, Kellee gave me a tremendous amount of support getting started. I had a wonderful transaction coordinator who helped me with a lot of the logistics and things like that. So I had support and help. I also did pay for coaching for a while. I did coaching for a couple years, and that gave me some amazing ideas and pillars to build my business.
And accountability.
Sure. Absolutely. So now, my process evolves as the market changes. So, professional photography is a must, because you've all looked at, pictures online and the toilet seat's up and there's
the pictures are this way. The pictures were taken with cell phones, and so they're they're not even landscape. It's just it's a disaster, and I see that happen with $1 million homes.
Oh, it's so
where
sad.
Where we're looking at $1 million, $2 million, $3 million homes. And I'm like, really? They didn't take the time to or spend the money to
Right.
get a professional photographer. I mean, that's crazy. Even on our smaller properties, we're doing that, and we're spending the same amount of money because we want, the objective is to sell the house.
Right.
And we want, picture says 1,000 words. Well, we're not photographers. That's not what we do.
Right. Well, I also do video for all of my listings, and the purpose of the video is really to get additional exposure, but it's also because everybody is looking online before they physically go see the house. So, and a lot of our consumers and a lot of our buyers are coming from out of area. So I love the idea of the video because you can not only show photos of the rooms and what each room looks like, but you can show the flow of the house.
Right.
So how things work and how it's laid out. Yes, you can do a floor plan. We do that on the MLS as well. But I think it helps people visualize the experience of the home. And then drone, I find very, very valuable because it's important to be able to see what's going on around there. How close are you to shopping? How close are you to freeways? How close are you to schools and parks?
HOA, amenities, it's super important. Yes.
Absolutely. So it personalizes it a little bit more, and it's a little bit more fun to post a video on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube than it is just to have still photos. It's a little bit more intriguing. I've started doing virtual open houses while I'm physically at the open house. So I call it a virtual, but I'm literally there. And I have an open house, but I'm doing a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live and walking people through. The lives tend to be getting a lot of engagement and a lot of exposure. Like Kellee said, I mean, it's not just a matter of putting it on the MLS and putting a for sale sign up. That's not getting it anymore. You have to have the right pricing, the right potentially incentives.
Yes, incentives are huge right now because we are in a very strange market currently, and the only thing constant in real estate is change. So the market that we're in right now, we could have, what we're noticing is the more turnkey properties are selling faster. Because a buyer at the end of the day, especially first-time home buyers, they don't have a lot of excess money at the end. They've got money for their down payment. They have money hopefully for their closing costs. If not, we ask the seller to pay that, which depends, right? Depends on the seller situation. But then then insurance is very expensive these days. So now buyers are just squeaking by to get in a property, and they don't have money to be fixing it up.
Right.
So it is nice to have a turnkey property, and you're pricing it right. They're selling it faster. I'm noticing when I'm going on the MLS and I'm looking at the ones that went pending, the properties that went pending, they went from active to active, under contract or pending. Turnkey 3, 5, 7 days.
Right.
And not turnkey 60, 90, 100 days. I mean, it's that drastic of a difference. So let's segue into us helping the sellers in a situation where their house is not turnkey.
Sure. Well, I just recently had a listing that was definitely not turnkey, and we had debated, do we want to sell it as is and get a much lower price, or do we want to put the investment in? And we chose to go with the investment, and I'm super glad we did. We put quite a bit of money actually into the property. The seller put some in, I put some in, the contractors got a vested interest, so we collaborated because it was a joint venture, and we turned it into an uninhabitable home into a beautiful home that was ready for a new buyer to move into. It wasn't perfect. I mean, it still needed some things on the exterior and all that. But what our goal was to make it livable for the next family. Something, because I mean, we're talking over a $900,000 house.
Right.
So we wanted it. Yeah, in Lake Forest. So
Forest.
We wanted it to be move-in ready. They could always work on landscaping and exterior, at their convenience.
So what did you do?
Well,
so one, the seller was not necessarily in a situation to front the money for these repairs, or the renovations, which happens a lot.
Right.
I mean, I've got another situation like that currently, where the seller's not necessarily in a position to do the things that need to be done, and we get involved and make an agreement with the seller so that we are getting reimbursed. But in the meantime, what I'm seeing is houses that are not in turnkey condition that look like they might need more work than what a buyer is willing to put in. The price reductions aren't doing it. Even we've on a couple of properties, we've reduced $100,000, and it's still not selling. So it is a matter of being turnkey, more turnkey, where you don't have to walk in and replace the flooring or replace the carpeting or redo the kitchen. You know, on an investment property that we have, once we made it turnkey, we went from not turnkey to making it turnkey, putting in about $12,000 to do that, and getting our asking price at the end of the day. Where before people went in, went out, very little interest. So yeah, talk about like what renovations, what improvements did you guys make?
Well, in our last home that we did, we removed the popcorn ceilings, we added canned lighting, we painted, of course, the entire interior. We replaced the flooring and all the baseboards. We did upgrade the electrical, so we replaced all the outlets because in identifying some issues, there were some safety concerns, and we didn't want to turn over a home with safety issues.
Right. Yeah.
We also made sure that there weren't any hidden problems. So anything that we, was
Did you get a home inspection?
We did not in this case.
Okay.
Yeah, we did once we were in escrow, but we did not. But we really went through the nitty-gritties of everything. We made sure that there were no plumbing leaks and, anything like that we made sure we were addressing, because we didn't want to turn over a home that had been fully updated and remodeled and then have a sink leak or something silly.
Do you mind me asking how much the cost was to update it?
Yeah, it was about $50,000.
About $50,000. Okay.
Yeah, for everything.
Okay.
So we had to do a little bit for the patio cover. There was some wood rot on the patio cover, so we had to fix that as well.
Okay.
And then we refreshed the kitchen. So we didn't do we redid the countertops. We painted all the cabinets. The appliances actually were in really good condition, so we just had to clean those up. But yeah, it was definitely worthwhile. It was great to see the finished product. The feedback from the buyers and the people coming through the open houses was amazing. People were really happy. And the key really is doing quality work, because the people who came through were noticing, oh, you scraped the popcorn in the closets. You carried the baseboards in through the closets. We didn't cheat and take shortcuts just to put, we call it
lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to make sure that it was quality work and that the new buyer would be happy. And we picked good flooring, not cheap flooring.
Right.
So
Right. Okay. Well, I love that. And it does make a difference. So as an agent, I feel like you are differentiating yourself from the average agent who, I mean, let's face it, there's agents out there, they don't put in that time, they don't put in that effort, they don't put in that work to do everything they can to maximize the seller's position, to get the most equity out of their property, because that's the goal at the end of the day.
Right.
And so taking the time, and that took a lot of extra time.
Yes.
Right? So I remember talking to you, you're picking out flooring with the seller.
Right.
You're picking out paint.
Right.
You're picking out all the things that we know as agents when we're showing property that appeals to a buyer.
Right.
Right? So at the end of the day, the result, you're in escrow.
Right.
Currently you're in escrow. How long did it take you to get in escrow?
It took us about 30 days still.
30 days. Okay.
It was longer than we had hoped, but the market's totally shifted. But yeah, we've got a great buyer who's super excited about the property.
Nice.
And so it's all worked out very well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're happy with the results.
I love that. Okay. So anything else that you do to differentiate yourself?
Well, again, we're shifting, right?
Sure.
So we're having to evolve with the market. So I'm doing more open houses than ever. I'm doing open houses every weekend right now for my properties. I find that even if I'm getting slow showings throughout the week, I'm getting a lot of activity still on open houses.
Sure.
So it's sort of interesting.
And we get feedback at the open houses, which is super important. So when we're doing the open houses, we're marketing the open house in the MLS, buyers can show up without their agents, no issue there.
Right.
But when they're coming through the open house, when working with sellers, that's really important feedback that we can present to a seller, because sometimes, the things that we're looking at that matter, to us or to a seller, a buyer's going to bring up a different something else that we may not have, paid attention to. So it's, doing those open houses is critical and it's important. A lot of agents don't want to do open houses. They think it's a waste of time. That's not something that we have found to be true, however.
Right. No, that's definitely not something I've found to be true. And then prior to, the first like launch open house, I do still door knock. You know, I put the little door hangers on people's doors. I invite them to the open house. I want the neighbors to come through because the neighbors know the neighborhood.
Right.
And generally they love the neighborhood.
Sure.
So if they can come through, see the property, maybe market to their friends, their family who may want to live near them.
Right.
I find that that's a great way to help with the marketing.
Sure.
And so, you know, I want the neighbors to come through. I want them to see what's happening in their community.
Some of my sellers do not want the nosy neighbors coming through their house. They get a little. I've had sellers actually ask me not to do that, which is, but our goal is to sell the house.
Right.
So, we do what we need to do. Obviously, we address the seller's concerns and we do what the seller wants. But anyway, thank you, Cassandra. Thanks for taking the time. I wanted to spotlight you, highlight you. You do a fantastic job. Any client that gets to work with you, whether it's a buyer or seller, is fortunate to do so.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.